Alright guys, papapepper back once again here in my natural environment, the garden. We've got a frost coming, I don't know when, but I know it's coming. And I'm out here today with some of my favorite plants, which are pepper plants. You don't get a name like papapepper without being a fan of peppers. And these are some ones that are new to me. I just started growing them this year, and I haven't even sampled one yet. Part of that comes from just not being around very much this fall when they started getting ripe, but I've got quite a harvest and I'm pretty excited about them. So let's take a closer look. So these are a kind of Thai pepper. I actually don't even recall the actual source I got them from, but I think total there's almost 80 different kinds of peppers that could be considered Thai peppers that they use in Thailand, they enjoy there. These ones make some nice upright fruits. They seem to get about 2.5 inches long, 2 to 2.5 inches long, and they start off green, which are the unripe fruits, and then they turn into this beautiful red where they almost look kind of like a mini cayenne. So kind of cool to see. I've definitely got hundreds of them growing here. This is, you know, one unpruned plant here, which if you look at it, it has probably 100 to 150 full-size fruit. They're not all mature. Some of them are kind of turning orange. Some of them are still green, but there's probably like another 100 that are still smaller and developing. So it's amazing how much, you know, just one plant can put out. And I haven't really done anything to these this year. One thing I did find is that there's a number of them, like this one here in front, that is just so heavy laden, it's just tipped over. Now part of that is dealing with the high winds here in the Ozarks. I had no support for these, so if they kind of get knocked down, a plant that heavy is not gonna stand back up. This one here is another rather, you know, attractive, heavy laden plant. I didn't do anything to it. I didn't prune, I didn't support. It's got about 5 or 6 main different shoots that are covered in peppers, and some of these are some impressive clusters. I mean, if you look at this, you've got all 6 of those little guys just sitting at the top, all going upright. They're all mature now, very nice. And a lot of the Thai peppers that look similar to this, people claim that they're going to be about 50,000 to 100,000 Scoville heat units. So they're going to come in at about 1/10 of what you would expect a ghost pepper to be at, and then about 1/3 or so of what you'd expect a habanero to be at. So still a spicy pepper, but nothing too insane. But for most people, when you add this to the dish, it's definitely going to be enough. So one thing I like to do to introduce myself to a pepper like this is just to eat some raw and see how they do. Like I said, I've been growing these, I've got a ton of them, I've got to harvest them. They look like a nice thin-walled pepper, which means they're gonna dry well. One thing I'll sometimes do is just run some fishing line with a needle through the stems and just make a nice presentation where I got a whole bunch of them just hanging up and dangling. We'll put it somewhere usually around the kitchen or the dining room area, and then if I need to, I'll just grab some of them off there, rinse them off if they're a little dusty or whatever, and then use them in a meal. But drying is one of the simplest preservation methods for peppers. You can also freeze them, you can pickle them, you can dehydrate them, but the ones that dry on their own that are thin-walled are going to be very good. And that's one of the easiest ways that I know to preserve them. That's one of the ways I prefer when I'm able to. Something like a bell pepper or a mini sweet pepper, some of the thicker walled ones like a poblano or something, you're not just going to be able to air dry on their own, but these ones you can. So I think I'm going to nibble into one of these and see what it tastes like now. Here goes nothing. Okay. Wow. Definitely a nice thin-walled pepper. Definitely brings the heat. Some people think that the seeds are what's spicy on a pepper, but it's actually up in this tip, you have that meaty part that the seeds grow on, that white part, and that has the highest concentration of capsaicin. So I'm not sure if you can see it there. When I open it up, there's some seeds, and you probably can't, but there's a little white fleshy part that those seeds grow on. That's where the highest level of capsaicin is. That's going to be the hottest part of the pepper. We're gonna bite that off right now and give it a try. Wow. Yeah, that's a good pepper. So my plans for these is to save some seeds from these ripe ones, to offer them up if anyone else is looking for a good Thai pepper to grow. You can see just a plant or two can give you 100 or more ripe peppers by the end of the season. I'm not even sure when I got these in or how long it took, but I'm in zone 6B, 7A, and by the end of the season here, I've definitely got more than what my family would require over the use of a year, especially when I'm growing other stuff like serranos, jalapenos, cayennes, and other peppers. But like I said, when you can store them so easy, it makes it really nice and available for you in the kitchen for culinary uses. And also, they can retain their full heat for up to a year when you just simply dry them. Another thing you can do is you can take the dry ones, break them off the stems, and just put them in like a little food processor or mini blender, and you can pretty much pulverize them to where they're going to be like red pepper flakes that you can just sprinkle onto food. And that's a great way to kind of get some heat without actually putting peppers, you know, in the dish when you're cooking it, or without using a hot sauce. So I'll give you a quick look at these, and then I'll shut this video down. It's got some good heat, it really does. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it looks like I actually had 11 growing across this whole section. I know here's an example, that one I lifted up earlier. I didn't prune it all, so it's got 2 stems. It comes up to just a big pile of peppers. Look at how many are just sitting here. You know, all these green unripe ones right now. And the green unripe ones you can use too. You can eat those. Sometimes they won't be as hot. They're not fully developed or mature, and I definitely say let your peppers change color, let them get fully mature if you're going to save seeds for them, because they're going to produce the most viable seeds, the most fully mature seeds, even if the peppers get fully like red like this and then start to dry a bit on the plant. If you've got that much time before frost, then you know that it's been fully formed, they're going to be viable, and they're going to be good seeds. So definitely cool. This plant here I don't even think has any doesn't seem to have any red ones on that whole section here. It looks like it's got a lower branch there that does, but these are all like little suckers that came off of that main stem when the main stem tipped off, so they started forming their stuff later and took a lot of energy out of the original plant that had tipped over. And a lot of people do prune their suckers, both on things like tomatoes and peppers. A lot of people also prune the tops of their peppers. You can do that and you can get a greater yield. In a situation like this where I have 11 plants devoted to this area, I just kind of gave them free reign over it and let them run themselves. I don't need so many peppers that I've got to prune them or take off the suckers. I can just kind of let them do as they will, wind up with a whole bunch for me and my family, and works really good. So definitely got a nice warm belly right now. These are super tasty. Glad to have grown them, and not sure the exact kind. I know there's a big Thai pepper, which supposedly gets like 5 inches long by about a ½ inch wide. These are obviously smaller than that, but a similar pepper in the same shape. So just some sort of random Thai pepper. But if you guys are interested in seeds, leave a comment below. I plan on saving some in the near future and then getting some in our Etsy shop too. A great pepper, definitely love it. Look forward to cooking with this. And like I said, we've got a good supply to be using over the course of this next year, where they're still going to be retaining their full heat. All right, Papa out.